Hello, my name is Frances Reid and I'm Programme Director for the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition. I'm here to present you the highlights of the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition Atlas, the 2020 edition, which looks at global incidence, mortality and survival for ovarian cancer. We first drew up the Atlas in 2018, overseen by an expert advisory panel in preparation for our Every Woman study. And we found it such a useful and interesting document that we undertook to update it from time to time. And we have done that this year in preparation for the launch of the Global Ovarian Cancer Charter, which happened recently. This presentation will explore what is happening now and why that might be. It looks at what is predicted to happen in the future by 2040 and beyond. And it's a bit of a whistle-stop tour, so I do hope that you'll take time to explore the full document now located on our website. I hope you'll find the Atlas and this presentation of interest for the wide range of information that it covers. I also hope it will open your eyes to the fact that for the majority of women with ovarian cancer, their experience is far from that seen in leading centres of excellence. And I hope it will inspire you to act, no matter where you live, to find out what more can be done in your country to optimise women's chances of survival. Globocan, on their Cancer Today site, show the estimated number of cases and deaths globally of ovarian cancer in 2018. You'll see that there were nearly 300,000 cases, and it was thought that there were more than 750,000 women living within 5 years of their diagnosis. Rates of ovarian cancer are highest in high-income countries, where the age-standardised incidence rates are above 8.2 per 100,000 women, compared to below 3.8 in some low-income settings, such as in sub-Saharan Africa. And interestingly, recent evidence shows that as countries develop economically, or as parts of a country develop economically, the incidence rate rises. The Atlas covers a lot of other risk factors too, but that's a particularly interesting one to note. Using Globocan as a source, you can see here the countries with the largest numbers of women diagnosed each year. Look for the purple line. The teal line represents those living within 5 years of their diagnosis. And you can see that China, India, the States, Russia, Indonesia, and Japan top the bill. This chart compares the burden of gynecologic cancers by high or low or middle income status. So ovarian cancer cases are at the bottom in the teal colour, cervical cancer in the middle, and uterine or endometrial cancers on top in the purple box. And overall, you can see that there are more than double the number of women diagnosed each year with ovarian cancer in low and middle income countries compared to high income countries. You'll also see how much of a burden cervical cancer is in low and middle income countries, where it is often diagnosed, like ovarian cancer, at a late stage. It's fair to say that in these countries, cancer in general is regarded as a disease of the rich, or it certainly has been, and the health policy focus has very much been on communicable diseases rather than non-communicable diseases such as cancer. But with cervical cancer, that is beginning to change. Not only are there now new tools, such as vaccination and screening, but the World Health Organization has adopted a cervical cancer elimination strategy, which is a major step forward, but one that took a considerable number of years' work to bring about. It's also widely acknowledged that there is very limited good quality cancer data in these countries, and this is a major challenge. National estimates often have to be constructed or inferred from information for small populations of the country or even from neighbouring countries. The WHO say that just 1 in 5 low and middle income countries have the necessary data to drive cancer policy. This is a reminder that ovarian cancer is not one disease. It's a number of different diseases which behave differently, respond differently to treatments, affect women at different ages and of different ethnicities. Most statistics that you see, though, will tend to lump it under one category, which can be somewhat misleading. Nor is there one way for describing the extent to which disease has spread at diagnosis. In the States, they use SEER data with 3 categories, and the Federation of International Gynecology and Obstetrics, FIGO, use 4. You will read in the atlas of the wide variation in guidelines, even in high-income countries, that are used to diagnose women with ovarian cancer, both in terms of the symptoms and the tests they should undergo. You'll also read about high-income countries about the lack of adherence to clinical guidelines, which detracts from best possible care. And although there are guidelines that have been adapted for lower-income countries, studies show that they are not adhered to because local facilities are inadequate, the information is too complex, and they're not suitable for the local setting. Training programs for gynecologic oncologists vary around the world, and many lower middle income countries have great challenges in terms of training and retaining specialists, especially in surgery, and building the appropriate infrastructures, including pathology and imaging. In terms of access to treatments, given what I've just said, access to specialist surgery is hugely variable. In terms of drug treatments, the headlines in recent years have been about access to new PARP inhibitors, which require genetic testing, or treatments such as bevacizumab. Some countries have been quicker than others to grant access, and some have had issues accessing genetic testing, which has slowed down progress. But did you expect me to flag up access to the drugs that have been the mainstay of ovarian cancer treatment for well over 30 years, carboplatin and paclitaxel? If I say that recent progress in some countries, such as Nigeria, has been about getting access to the quality brands of these drugs at a price that is comparable to lower quality generics, would you be shocked? These drugs are included on the WHO list of essential medicines, which is an important document. Enu and his colleagues studied, however, that access was sometimes difficult in some countries. He was looking in Asia and the Asia-Pacific region. And more importantly, here in this little chart, he shows you who pays for these treatments, with those in low-income countries often left to pay themselves on top of already unaffordable costs associated with long-distance travel, accommodation, subsistence, all those things that are required to get specialist help in a country with few centres. And he goes on to say that even in countries where the costs of these basic drugs are covered, many are at risk of financial catastrophe as a result of their cancer care. That's why the UN 2030 Sustainable Development Goal 3.8 on universal health coverage is a very important step we support. It requires that everyone, everywhere, can access essential health care without experiencing financial ruin as a result of care. It's perhaps not surprising then that survival rates vary very widely around the world. But a word of caution here. Comparing survival rates between countries is often a case of trying to compare apples and pears. Therefore, if you do want to compare statistics, make sure you choose those that emerge from one study or from highly comparable studies, as each will use different background mortality figures, dates of collection, different selections of codes, and so forth. But when you do look at such studies, such as the International Cancer Benchmarking Partnership Study or the Concord studies, you can get important information and find potential ways forward for progress. Some of the factors that these type of studies explore include delays in women seeking help, delays in investigations for symptomatic women, be that access to investigations or a lack of willingness to investigate. It also looks at the lack of doctors and specialist staff, the lack of access to specialist services and pathology, access to existing and new drugs, and a fundamental lack of data. So we at the World Ovarian Cancer Coalition know Through our own Every Woman study and through studies like the ones I've just mentioned, there is much room for progress now, and we can learn from each other. This is so important, and it's why we developed the Global Ovarian Cancer Charter. Hopefully, if you've not already signed up as a supporter, you will want to find out more. You can do so by scanning the QR code there or by going to our website. I do hope you will want to sign up. And I hope you will want to do that, especially when I tell you of what is to come. Globocan is predicting a 47% increase in the incidence of ovarian cancer by 2040 and a similar increase in mortality. What is a burden now on your health systems is only set to increase. Therefore, we must do all we can to highlight the challenges that there are and the opportunities there are to overcome them, no matter where we are. We need to make ovarian cancer a priority at a local, a national, an international, and a global level. Remember, I told you at the start of this presentation that the majority of women with ovarian cancer live in low and middle income countries with the least resource. Well, their burden of ovarian cancer will increase by even greater amounts, as these figures show. There is a very real possibility that the already wide gap between high and lower income countries will continue to widen at a very fast pace unless we act. So, as we move forward, if you haven't already, please sign up to the Global Ovarian Cancer Charter. Now is the time to do so. There's the QR code again, or go to our website. We are and we will be more powerful together.